We are in the dry season and fire outbreaks are rampant around this time. Many farmlands and property have been lost to such fires in the past. This time, the National Disaster Management Organization is beginning a sensitization program to prevent such fires in the first place. In the studio with us is to throw more light on this the Deputy Director General in charge of technical at NADMO, Seji Saji, and he joins me in the studio. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Saji, and tell us about this campaign. What is NADMO up to?
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon to your viewers as well. NADMO is set up to deal with disasters generally. But one core aspect of our work is to make sure we put in place preventive measures so that, first of all, the disaster doesn't even occur before we trying to mitigate it or find solutions to it. And if you look at the disaster profile of this country, we have floods as number one. The second is fires. And for fires, we have bush fires too, which happens normally around November through to January and to March and April before the rainy season sets in. We have over the years been educating farmers and people who are in our communities where we call our food basket to try and make sure they engage in practices that will not lead to bushfires and then finally lead to loss of crops, which has direct implication on the country as a whole.
Okay, but from your knowledge in bushfires, what are the major causes of these bushfires?
Well, over the years we have established clearly that it is some of the activities of the farmers themselves. Let me give you an example. We have those who do the palm wine tapping, and they go with what we call an amber. They have this fire. So after the palm wine tapping, if they don't properly put off that fire in the dry season, it is easy to catch other dry leaves or that, and that becomes bushfire. Sometimes though, it is cigarette. A cigarette that is not properly disposed of can also trigger bushfires.
So we're looking now at the bigger picture, because we know that bushfires normally will burn the farms, will extend to other houses and all of that. But let's look at nationwide. What are its effects, I mean, when you look at the bigger picture?
Yes, one major flagship of the government is planting for food and jobs, and we all know the objectives that that project seeks to attain. Bushfires, if not properly dealt with, can threaten the realization of those objectives. And if bushfires are not contained, and it goes a long way to affect crop production, it has enormous effect on the food basket of this country, and you know the economic implications to as well. And in the remotely too, it can have some effect on our imports to as well. And our import bills will go up. It goes to also affect foreign exchange too as well, because the more we import, the more we look for foreign exchange to import.
That's the more reason why we should contain it.
Yes.
And of course, it can't just, the national campaign can't work if individually people don't know how to prevent some of these things. Yes. What are some of the preventive measures?
Yes, well, NADMO over the years, as we have been doing, that started already. Normally, when the dry season starts from November, NADMO has district offices, and we work through zones, and we have what we call DVGs, that's disaster volunteer groups, all on the ground. We send information to them as to, those people are already trained, as to look out for the signs of bushfires and be each other's keeper, in the sense that if somebody is not engaging in a proper practice that will give rise to bushfire, you can advise that person. But if it does happen, we have all our DVGs and district officers and zonal officers too around, who can be the first point of trying to assist before maybe the fire service, if there's some around, to come and deal with the situation.
Okay, but generally, what advice would you give to the public in dealing with some of these and even avoiding some of these bushfires?
Yes, I will advise the public that globally, you know, climate change has been a problem, and that is why we have very long dry spells these days, and people should engage in practices that will first of all not affect our climatic conditions. That is the broader picture. But I mean, zeroing in on the bushfires itself, people should try as much as possible to engage in good farming practices, to make sure that when they put they put on fires, maybe, you know, normally in the farm, they cook in the farm, they do other things in the farm. They make sure they properly dispose of those fires. Then people will also look out for when the fire starts, because sometimes the fire starts in the evening or in the night, and by daybreak it becomes something else. So people should make sure that in the evening, especially when they are leaving their farms, they make sure that everything is okay before they leave the farm. And those who smoke too should properly find a proper way of disposing of their cigarette sticks.
But what's NADMO's role in ensuring that all of these work? Do you have a monitoring mechanism?
Yes. NADMO, by law, is a coordinating agency for managing disasters in the country. We are the first respondents. We have district offices across. We work through the zones. So our zonal staff and our DVGs live among the people. So these are people who have been trained over the years to do the monitoring and make sure that bushfires are properly contained.
All right, many thanks to you, Saji. He's the Deputy Director General of NADMO, and he's been educating us on how we can deal with bushfires and also make sure it doesn't even happen. Thank you very much for coming. Still watching The Pulse. There is more on this show. You don't want to go away.